So today at Carib 21, we are producing our first episode of Carib 21 Hot Topic. Carib 21 is not a news network. What we do, we take news stories and trending stories from around the Caribbean and we build a conversation around it. So with that being said, here at Carib 21, we'd love to hear from you wherever in the Caribbean you are or if you're in the diaspora when we touch on these hot topics within the Caribbean. So how this is going to work. So for today's show, there's 3 topics that I'm going to be vaguely talking about. And I want to get your feedback. And normally we would get feedback in the comment section, but now we're opening up the platform where you could send a voice message or a video message. So you could click down below and you could join us, our WhatsApp group, or you could join us on Instagram where you could send that video recording or the voice recording in response to the topic that we're going to be talking about today. And what we'll do, we'll produce separate shows going more in depth in the hot topic so we can facilitate that discussion about things that are going on in and around the Caribbean. So that is what Carib 21 Hot Topic is all about. So let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the opposition leader for St. Lucia. Beautiful, beautiful St. Lucia. So the opposition leader for St. Lucia being in St. Vincent and the Grenadines earlier this week talking with the heads of government from the Eastern Caribbean, and he said something that shocked the entire Caribbean region. And this is what he said.
Opposition leader Alan Chasney Tuesday said the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS Assembly, has become too ceremonial, adding that the Challenges to Citizenship by Investment Program, CBI, is an opportunity for the sub-regional grouping to prove itself. We have more in this report.
Addressing the 7th meeting of the OECS Assembly in the Vincentian capital, Chasney said that the relationship between the OECS and the larger regional integration grouping, CARICOM, was not working.
So here it is that we're discussing bills about integration of trade to make it easier and functioning, yet we are members of CARICOM, in which that is not working. And all the leaders sitting around this table all know that our relationship with CARICOM is not working. So imagine if we had the tenacity to pull out of CARICOM and renegotiate bilateral agreements with Jamaica, bilaterals with Trinidad, bilaterals with Guyana, and bilaterals with Barbados. Would we be better off? I'm not saying we do it, but sometimes we have to ask ourselves that question. Because certainly when I was Prime Minister, I felt that we were being ignored. I felt we were being disrespected. I felt so many times we went to a meeting at CARICOM and listened to the larger countries debate among themselves as if we were not even there, Madam Speaker.
So that was Alan Chasney, the opposition leader in St. Lucia. So do you agree with what the opposition leader said in that clip? So what you can do now, you can send a voice recording through our WhatsApp number, or you could send a video recording. And as I said, we will produce videos in the upcoming week going more in depth in this. Because what is interesting is that a lot of things that was said in that clip are sentiments that I share. I am frustrated with how CARICOM is working, and especially with the bigger islands, with Jamaica, with Trinidad, in particular those 2 islands that they don't seem to care much about CARICOM. So if you want to participate in this, just, as I said, shoot us a voice recording, a video where you're in the Caribbean, you're coming from, and how do you feel about this conversation. So sound off and let me know your thoughts. And you can still leave your comments in the comment section. Up next, we're still in the Eastern Caribbean, and now we're in Antigua and Barbuda. And these words were coming from the Foreign Affairs Minister in Antigua, Barbuda. We will not be bullied, talking about the American government.
So I leave here this morning, I'm going to another platform where we're fighting like hell, might I say, with the US government that wants to impose travel sanctions on us. For that reason, God only knows. We will not be bullied. Our foreign policy is one of principles.
So that was the foreign affairs minister in Antigua, Barbuda, pushing back on the Trump administration on the visa restriction, the so-called visa restriction that they are looking into for islands that are participating in the citizenship by investment program. So how do you feel about this? Do you think that the Antigua, Barbuda, do you think that they're playing with fire in terms of trying to go after the Trump administration? So just let me know what your thoughts in the comment section, because I found this very interesting, because this, on the heels of what we saw with the Cuban medical program and with some of the islands that stood up forcefully, and now everything is quiet. We're not hearing anything about the program anymore. Now we're hearing that different islands are going in other directions. Some islands, they're going to the Philippines. Some, they're going to Nigeria. So it seemed like some of the islands, like they're saying one thing up front, and then behind closed door, they don't want to stand up to the Trump administration. And this standing up to the Americans is never an easy thing, because we know, we see what happened in history. We saw what happened in Grenada with Maurice Bishop government. We saw what happened in Panama. We saw, what is happening in Cuba and in Haiti. So it's not just the Trump administration. It's just trying to push back on the Americans. When they say something, it's just trying to push back. There could be repercussions. So if you want to join in this conversation, as I said, you can send a voice recording and tell me, how do you feel about Antigua, Barbuda, and how they're pushing back on the Americans in particular about the Caribbean CBI program. So sound off in the comment section and share your thoughts on this one. So last but not least, now we're in Jamaica and we're looking at the 2025 election year, and this election is coming in hot. And recently, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. Andrew Holness, came under criticism from some people talking about that he's not ready to call the election until he's sure that he can secure the victory. So this is what the Prime Minister of Jamaica had to say.
Despite calls from the opposition for the Prime Minister to announce the general elections, Prime Minister Holness is insisting he will not be calling the elections until he's certain of victory. Adrian Williams files this update.
As the election engine revs up, jubilant cheer filled the air in southwest St. Elizabeth. However, Prime Minister Andrew Holness cautioned that there will not be any rush into an election.
We're going to make sure that before you call an election, all our workers must touch base with the voters in their community. That is what we mean when we say we are going to make the calling of the election sure.
The PM encouraged party workers and supporters to have all hands on deck.
For this army to get up and fight for what we have achieved, to keep this train on track, everyone must be on board. All hands on deck.
So that was the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. Andrew Holness. So share your thoughts. You, as I said, send me a video or a voice recording, or you can still sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on this. What do you think about the Prime Minister saying that he's not going to call an election until he can secure victory? Is that a good thing? Is that political malpractice, or is he just being smart? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. So don't forget, send in your thoughts and where you're from. Which island are you representing? And you can send your video or your voice record. And remember, these 3 topics, we will be producing individual programs covering these topics, and we want to go in depth in terms of having an in-depth discussion on these 3 individual topics. And the only rule is that no swearing. Like, this is a family channel. We try to avoid swearing. We can disagree as much as possible, as long as we disagree in a respectful manner. So guys, sound off in the comment section and let me know your thoughts on these 3 topics. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.